Hi all, I'm Abby, I'm a dairy farmer and I am doing this bit of a talk today just to try and give a few facts about dairy farming. This week is Proud of Dairy, which is our chance as British dairy farmers to showcase what we do and how proud we are of our products. And I suppose one of the first things that I would like to talk about is these so-called milk alternatives and what benefit they are to the UK. And as a dairy farmer, the first question that I would ask of anything that's going to rival a product that I produce, a food product, is it British? Now, there's a number of reasons why I would want to do that. First of all, I'm a patriotic person, and personally I will always choose to buy British food over anything else because I'm very proud of the food that we create in this country, that we grow from this soil, that we rear from our animals. I'm extremely proud of that. But the other reason that I would want to know why it's British is because, is it supporting British jobs? Is it giving a value back to the society? And I guess I'll pick on almonds and this so-called, well, I'm going to call it almond juice because that's what it is, it's a juice. Does it support British society? Does it provide jobs? Well, to me, no, it doesn't. We can't grow almonds in this country, or those almonds that we can grow, they're just a novelty. They're never going to be a crop that we can harvest at a commercial level because we just don't have the climate at the moment anyway to be growing these almonds. So therefore, we know that almonds are grown overseas. So actually, if you want to Google where can almonds grow and where is their main area in the world, we're talking about California, we're talking about Spain, the other Mediterranean countries there, and some places in Africa. So these almonds are grown overseas. They're not grown here on this soil. Therefore, they're not supporting local jobs. So there are no jobs in rural communities. Unlike if we talk about here on my dairy farm, I am employing 6 people, plus there are 2 families here that live here that also live off the income of this farm. So between us all, we're creating a value in the rural community. We have 6 people who are taking money home to put food on their own tables. And I think that's a really important contribution to society. Beyond that, if we look at the food and drink industry as a whole, we need to think about the other jobs then. These almonds need to be pasteurised in a similar way that milk would, because obviously you need to make sure there's no bugs that are hanging onto the almond nuts themselves. So, you know, who is in charge of that? Is that creating employment? I know that if I was just going to pick on one product, so Alpro, and I'm sorry Alpro for picking on you, you just happen to spring to mind. Fedus, you do manufacturing in the UK. I'm not entirely sure whether that's just bottling or whether you do a lot more processing, but still to me I don't feel that there is enough British jobs coming out of this food production, this imported foreign overseas food that is coming in and being made. So that would be the one thing I would like to point out. Also, we need to think about whether the other benefits to society are being met. So not only am I just a dairy farm, but I'm doing a lot to enhance the environment. So we have community orchards. We put land aside to grow wildflowers. We do a lot with our local wildlife groups. We inject our slurry to try and reduce nitrous oxide. We're very conscious about the water we use. We're conscious about the electricity we use. We follow how much fuel we use on our tractors, and we look at whether our systems are efficient enough and responsible enough in the environment for us to be carrying out work in certain fields at certain times of year. And if they're not, we will do things to alter that. So being environmentally conscious is as much as part of what I do as a dairy farmer as producing food. And again, I need to ask whether this production of almonds that's overseas, that's coming from a foreign country, is that as responsible as we're achieving here in the UK? And we don't know, and I'm certainly not belittling anyone who is overseas and doing this farm work. But the key thing that we need to realise is the environmental standards we have in Britain are our British environmental standards. They are set by us. We're very proud of them and they're protecting our country. And again, is almond production really going to be doing that? And just come off almonds a little bit. Equally soya. I mean, we can't grow soya in this country. Or again, if we do, it's just sort of novel crops. It's not anything on a very large commercial scale. They're not creating these jobs. They're not looking after the environment. So, these are the main questions that I want to be asking when I'm thinking about drinking an alternative food. On top of that, obviously, we then need to be thinking about food miles. So again, do you buy food grown locally down the road, or perhaps grown in your next county? Or are we looking at importing food from overseas? America, we're talking about 300 miles. Spain, not quite so far, but this is a very long way to be hauling food. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's right going forward. And I think there's so much more that can be gained out of supporting your local food producers.